Hello everyone, myself Swati Jayant Kokate from Nagesh Karesgi Orchid School. Today I was explaining you in the last lecture history lesson number 3, okay, that is ruling the countryside. Students, in this chapter I have explained you ruling the countryside means how the Britishers they came and they exploited or they started ruling the countryside, how they exploited the villagers, the farmers, peasants, okay, how they came, they started collecting revenue, they and also the Diwani rights or whatever revenue was collected, that how it went in their hands and they were the person who exploited the farmers, isn't it? In that we have seen that the company becomes the Diwan. Okay, the revenue collection was done by them and their aim was only to earn profit and not to see the conditions of the farmers or peasants, isn't it? Then they collected revenue, how they collected the revenue for the company. Then why did they find the need of improvement in agriculture? Was it that they were thinking the good policy or they were thinking something good in returns or in the terms of farmers? No, they were just wanted to improvement in agriculture for their selfish motto. Also we have seen the permanent settlement of 1793. What was permanent settlement? How they permanently wanted to fix a one type and they wanted to collect the tax or revenue. And why the problem started? How the Bengal just vanished away, everything, and the economy was fully in problem, what we can say. Then due to these problems again a new system was devised. What was that new system? Let us see. By the early 19th century many of the companies officials were convinced that this permanent settlement should be again changed, okay, something new should be taken in point of collecting more profit. So how could this revenue be fixed permanently? Because the company needed more and more money. Once the expenses started of the company's what income or whatever revenue it wanted, the demand was increasing only. So this permanent settlement was to be revised, means it was to be changed, okay. Then how it was to be done? Because the company needed more expenses for administrating and also trade. So what they did in the northwestern provinces of Bengal presidency, most of this area is now in Uttar Pradesh. Now it is Uttar Pradesh. At that time it was under Bengal residency. An Englishman, that is who came from England, okay, his name was Holt Mackenzie, and he devised or he introduced one new system which came into effect in 1822. So what was his policy? He felt that the village was an important social institution in North Indian society and it needed to be preserved. So this is the place from where we will get more and more profit, more and more money for the companies. So under his direction collectors went from village to village. So you will understand, children, what was his policy. What he did, the collectors they went from village to village, okay, and for what purpose they went? They went to inspect the land, measuring the field, means inspecting the land means what, children? That seeing the fertility of the land, which crop can be grown here, what are the measurements of the fields, how much field the person is having, okay, and recording the customs and rights of different groups. Then the estimate revenue of each plot within a village was added up to calculate the revenue that each village, means not a person but totally village, that is mahal, had to pay. And to whom this was given? All these collectors, okay, collectors, they went and started inspecting the things. So how it was? it was calculated, okay, that this village or these many persons are having this much of land, okay, that fertility, this much of crop can be grown, everything was calculated, and the village had to pay that tax, okay, or the revenue whatever was collected, and that was called mahal. Suppose the village, it was called mahal. Then this demand was to be revised periodically, not permanent. In the first time what we have seen, it was permanent. So the demand of the company was not able to be fulfilled. So this change was made. The means again the revenue would be increased next year or next month, or as per the crops grew more, they were free to revise the revenue, means change, whatever change they can charge more even, and paying it to the company was given to the village headman, and this work to whom it was given? To the village headman, means it was the Indian person, who was the village head, what we call mukhya, like in villages they had na. And it was not in the first what we have seen, they were collected by the zamindars, but here the headman of the village, he used to collect from whole village, that is mahal, and he used to give it to whom? To the company, and this system was known as Mahalwari system or Mahalwari settlement. See this different, children, means first it was permanent, here it is not permanent. The first it was given to whom? To the zamindars. Now the whatever responsibility is there, it is given to the village headman, and because of this mahal, means it is village, somewhat similar name that time was called as mahal, so it is known as Mahalwari settlement. Then come to next this person, okay, what is Munro system we are going to see here. In the British territories in the south, there was a similar move away from the idea of permanent settlement, means what? Somewhat there was an idea of permanent settlement, a new system again devised to be known as Rayatwari. Now after that again these two persons, Alexander Reed and this one Munro system, Reed and Munro, these two persons, they found something, traditional zamindars they found out, and they made one another type. The new system that was devised came to be known as Rayatwari. It was tried in a small scale, means on a small area it was applicable. They tried it on very small scale area. By whom? By Captain Alexander Reed. This is Reed means name, okay, Alexander Reed, it is the name of that captain. In some of the areas that were taken by the company after the wars with the Tipu Sultan. See, they had a war with Tipu Sultan, and the Britishers were the winner at that time. So they had all the rights, again many things had come in the hands of these people, that is Britishers. So what things they did, subsequently developed by this, they tried again Munro system. By this name Munro, Thomas Munro, because of his name this system was known as Munro system, and it extended all over the South India. Reed and Munro felt that in South there was no need of traditional zamindars, or there were no traditional zamindars, and the settlement was, they argued, had to be made directly with the cultivators who had tilled the land for generations. So what this fellow or what this person thought, that instead of getting it from zamindars or from the village headman, why should not we take all the revenue directly from the cultivator, or that is the rayat, okay, here it is called riots. Then why it should not be, it will be direct na, that cultivators and this company, okay, or this British people. Then they wanted this, tilled means they cultivated this land from generations, like forefathers, fathers, grandfathers, isn't it? Their field had to be carefully and separately surveyed before the revenue assessment was made. Excuse me. So why they thought like that? Because these persons, there will be direct contact with these person, these what we call cultivators, that is riots. So he thought of taking the revenues directly. Munro thought that the British should act as a paternal father figures protecting the riots under the charge. What they wanted to pretend, children, that they are taking care of the field or of the person, and so he wanted to act as a paternal father figures, means they are protecting the rights or they are protecting their lands, they are giving more money, like this, whatever show off they wanted to show. Okay. So these poor people or the Indians or the peasants who were in need of money, always dependent on the rainwater for all things, so they were thinking that yeah, they are helping us out, whatever, and as acting as a paternal father figures for protecting their riots and all. But then too all was not well. Under this system also, whatever Rayatwari system, Mahalwari system, everything was not well. Then what was the problems, what they were facing? Within a few years after the new system were imposed, it was clear that all was not well with them. Driven by the desire to increase the income from land, revenue officials fixed too high and revenue demands. As a revenue means taxes. Okay, they were giving some facilities, but what was their motto? Because they wanted to earn more revenue. So from the peasants were unable to pay, riots fled the countryside, the village became deserted in many regions. So what these farmers were doing, children, they were cultivating the land, cultivating, and many of the tax or many of the portion of their yield, whatever they grew, they had to give more than half of the percent, like more than 55%, so they had to give to the company. Then what is the use of working there, investing in the field? What they did, they wanted to, means they were not getting, these peasants were not getting even food to eat, or they were not in loss, we can say. They were not earning any of the profit from this land. So what they did, they thought of leaving the fields for some years. They were leaving their area and going for as a labor in other areas where they would get work, and also they will get some food to eat at least. So the villages became deserted, means as a desert, every peasant was leaving the village and region and going to other area in search of some work. Optimistic officials had imagined that the new system would transform the peasants into rich enterprising farmers, but this did not happen. Okay, clear? Some officials, they thought that we are implementing this new system and this will, what it will transform the peasants into rich and we will get more profit, but this did not happen. Now next subtopic we are going to see is crops for Europe. Okay, what were the crops? Why they were in need? Europe was in need of our crops, that we are going to see, which is the important part of this lesson. Till now we have seen how the tax revenue collection was done and what type permanent or what else settlements were there. Then too the peasant, the farmer was not at all in profit, he has to suffer a lot, even he was not getting proper food to eat. Okay, so he was leaving the lands, his whatever field, and going in search of some work at least to earn his bread and butter. So what was the crop for Europe? Okay, we are going to see this subtopic now. The British also realized that the countryside could not yield revenue. So it was very clear that if the countryside was not proper or these village people, that is the peasants, the farmers will leave the land, our company will not run because it requires crops. The Europe also it required crops. Now we are going to see what crops was required by this Europe. By the late 18th century, the company was trying its best to expand the cultivation of opium and indigo. Okay, this one indigo na children, it is a blue color. Okay, it is a blue color means color from which it is a plant indigo from which we get blue color. Okay, after processing it, not directly of course, after processing we get blue color and which is used in textiles. We are going to see in details again. Also opium is also one product what we call that one by which some products are made, and in Marathi something ganja is said to that opium, and indigo is one blue color. So in the century and a half that followed, the British persuaded or forced. What they did first, na this half of the century, the British they persuaded means they they explained or they wanted the cultivators to produce. They told the producers, okay, in a good way, or they just explained to produce the crops. But if these peasants of India, if they did not do what they did, they forced the cultivators in various parts of India to produce other crops also. So what were these other crops? It was jute in Bengal, okay, tea in Assam, sugarcane in United Provinces, that is Uttar Pradesh, wheat in Punjab, cotton in Maharashtra and Punjab, and rice in Madras. So they forced these Indian peasants to produce these crops. How was this done? The British used a variety of methods to expand the cultivation of crops, whatever they needed. Let us take a closer look at the story in which one crop was grown. So in this lesson we are going to see how this indigo was grown and how its demand was increasing. So this is a question, does color have a history? Means ever you have thought that this color also has a history. What is history? Means a story of the past, okay, how it was included in industrial revolution or in economy, changing the economic factors also this color had a important role. Okay, from which plant? It was from the indigo plant. So this is a question, means does, yes, so this color also has a history. In figure 5 and 6 of these two images of cotton prints, the image on left figure shows a kalamkari print. So see this one, okay, this blue color, it is a kalamkari print during 20th century and it was made in India. And this is the, on the right side is a floral cotton print designed and produced by William Morris. He was a famous poet and an artist of 19th century. He was from Britain. And in these two things, what thing do you see common? Okay, or I can ask you, what color do you find common here? Okay, it is the blue color. In both the prints, rich blue color is used and it was commonly called as indigo. Do you know how this color was produced? Okay, now I am going to explain you this product, how the farmers were forced to produce this product, that is from the plant of indigo. The blue that you see in these prints was produced from a plant called indigo. It is likely that blue dye used in the Morris print is 19th century from Britain was manufactured from indigo plant and which was cultivated, that plant was cultivated in India but the product or the plants were sent to Britain, and in their factory, or it was again made into color dye, and it was applied on the cloth. Dyeing the cloth means giving the color to that print. Okay. For India was the biggest supplier of indigo in the world at that time. So, whatever our temperature of India, okay, or our climatic conditions were very good for the production or for the cultivation of indigo plant. That's why the biggest supplier of indigo in the world at that time was India. Now, we have to see why the demand for indigo, of Indian indigo, was increasing at that time. The indigo plant grows primarily in the tropics. By the 13th century, Indian indigo was being used by the cloth manufacturers, means not only in Europe or Britain, this indigo color or this production of the that plant was used in Italy, France and Britain. Why this color was used? To dye the clothes. That's what I told you, to give the color to the cloth, to the prints of that cloth. However, only small amount of indigo, Indian indigo, reached the European market, and its price was very high. European cloth manufacturers therefore had to depend on another plant called woad to make violet and blue dye. So, one more was the plant was there, okay, and that was woad. Okay. From this also plant indigo color or violet, blue color was made, but that was not that much, what we can say, good, as quality was not good as like indigo. Fine, the color was little pale and that shine was not there. Okay. Being a plant of the temperate zone, woad was not more easily available in Europe. So, this woad was available in Europe, and it was in that climatic condition also, in temperate zone it was grown. It was grown in northern Italy, southern France and in the parts of Germany and Britain also. So, worried by the competition from indigo, woad producers in Europe pressurized their government to ban the import of indigo. So, what was the here? If the indigo comes from India, children, then what thing will happen? The woad which was produced in their countries, okay, as the indigo's quality was good, fine, its color was good, it was more superior than woad. It had a competition with indigo. If they were worried, because if this indigo product goes in the market of their country, they will have to suffer a lot, because people will demand for the products of this indigo color cloth, and they will not, this woad color the people will try to avoid for using. So, they will not get the profit, isn't it? So, they were, what they did, they pressurized their government to ban the import of indigo. So, what they did, they just pressurized the government to ban the import of indigo from India to these countries. Then cloth dyers, however, preferred indigo as a dye, but then to the cloth dyers, okay, the people who were dyeing the cloth preferred indigo as a dye because of its good quality, rich blue color, whereas the dye from woad was pale and dull. As I told, the woad, its color was pale and dull. So, by the 17th century, European cloth producers persuaded their governments to relax the ban on indigo import. So, what happened? European cloth producers, okay, they asked their governments to relax the ban on indigo import. Then again the French began cultivating indigo in Saint-Domingue in the Caribbean islands, the Portuguese in Brazil, the English in Jamaica and the Spanish in Venezuela. Indigo plantation also came up in many parts of the North America. So, these all things were there. Because of this, it was pressurized by the government. They banned the import of indigo, but as the cloth dyers demand, it was started in these areas by the 17th century. By the end of the 18th century, the demand for Indian indigo grew further. Britain began to industrialize and its cotton production expanded dramatically. So, cotton production also increased and there was high demand for this color, creating an enormous new demand for cloth dyes. While the demand for indigo increased, the existing supplies from the West Indies and America collapsed for a variety of reasons. So, many reasons were there why the demand for indigo increased and its supply from as per demand was not there. Between 1783 and 1789, the production of the indigo in the world fell by half. So, what were the reasons? During this time, the production also fell by half. Cloth dyers in Britain now desperately looked for new sources of indigo supply. Then these cloth dyers, there was demand for in the Britain, they wanted the produce or they wanted this indigo's color, but they had to search for now new source of indigo supply from where the supply would come. So, let us see how the Britain turns to India. Now, Britain also, these people also want to come to India and expand or their business, that is cultivation of indigo. As there was more demand for indigo. From the last decades of 18th century, indigo cultivation in Bengal expanded rapidly and Bengal indigo came to dominate the world market. So, in the last decades of 18th century, what happened? Indigo's cultivation in Bengal expanded, okay, and the Bengal indigo came to dominate the world market. In 1788, only about 30% of indigo imported into Britain was from India. So, only 30% was available from India, means which was going to Britain, and rest all was coming from maybe from other countries, okay. So, by 1810 the proportion had gone up to 95%. See, within this 22 years, what happened? The proportion increased from 30% to 95%, means 95% of the indigo was going to Britain from India during 1810. Okay. As the indigo trade grew, means this whatever this trade was going on of indigo, it grew and the commercial agents also and officials also wanted to invest in the company, okay, for what things? To get more profit. So, in this we will see how the slaves revolt in all this in 1791, we will see this again. So, we have seen, children, how this during 1810 the production increased, and due to this increase in the production, these cultivators or other companies investing, those who were the investors who wanted to invest in the more production of this indigo and earn more profit, this Britain or they turned to India, isn't it? In the next chapter or we will continue whatever the things are left out, that is how the Indian indigo was cultivated, and also Blue Rebellion and all we will see in the next lecture. Thank you.